this is Jules, and it's going to be my Stam DK build for PvP in the Horns of the Reach patch. This is going to be a build that is only good in solo and small scale PvP. It's really going to gain a lot of its strength from being outnumbered. All of its tankiness, all of its heals, all of its damage are all going to come from being outnumbered. So this is not going to translate very well to a large group. It is specifically only going to be for solo and small scale PvP. So with that in mind, we are a Redguard Dragon Knight. We have 64 points into Stam, 11k max Magicka, 24k health, 35k Stam. Unbuffed recovery sits at just under 1500. Completely unbuffed weapon damage, 2431. Weapon crit, 40%. Spell and physical resists, we're at 24 and 20 on the front bar, and 27 and 24 on the back bar. That's without Bloodspawn. So you can add another 6.5 or so to each of these when Bloodspawn is procced. And we also have 2200 crit resist. So we're pretty tanky. We are in 5 heavy, 1 medium, 1 light. We are gaining a lot of health and a lot of resistances from that. The Stam recovery is going to go up to about 1700 with a pot. That's going to be pretty okay for Stam DK because you're getting regen and sustain from a lot of different areas. You're going to be getting Constitution. The 5-piece is going to be giving us 541. You're also going to be gaining sustain from both Battle Roar and Helping Hands. And then, of course, pots. So there's really not too much of an issue with the sustain, in my opinion. However, if you're uncomfortable running that, you can always change some enchants, change some Munduses, but this is just what I prefer, and this is just what I'm running. The weapon damage that we have here obviously is very low. That's without major or minor brutality. Major and minor brings us up to 3k, which is still pretty low. But fully buffed and with continuous, that's going to bring us up to 5,717 weapon damage. That's the absolute max that you can have on this build, which is quite a lot, obviously. Moving into the buffs, we are running the Tower for the Mundus. We have Major Savagery because we have Major Savagery on our front bar, Evil Hunter. We are running Max Stam and Stam Recovery Food. And we are a Vampire. So just to get into the sets real quick, guys, like I said, we are wearing 511 Heavy. This is a 2-hand sword and board build. We are running 5-piece Fury. This is kind of a given. It's all heavy, it's all impen, and it is all enchanted with Stam. So Fury is going to be giving us health, Stam, weapon damage, and then the 5-piece is going to be giving us the potential for 750 weapon damage. Fury alone as a set as just a 5-piece, if you also include the 4-piece weapon damage and also the Wrath passive, is going to be giving us 1,079 weapon damage, which is the most weapon damage potential of any set in the game. So we simply cannot pass this set up. A lot of the times people will say, you know, can Fury get fully procced? And the answer is yes, it can, only if you are outnumbered. If you are not truly outnumbered or if you are not severely outnumbered, Fury is trash. That's just the truth. However, if you are, Fury is amazing. So that's why we're running Fury. The other pieces that we are running are Bloodspawn, 1 light, 1 medium. My helm is infused and enchanted with a tri-stat. And the shoulders are impen and enchanted with stamina. The other pieces that we are running are 7th Legion. Yes, they are all healthy jewelry. We have 2 weapon damage and 1 reduced cost. We complete the 5 set back here. 7th Legion is probably the second best weapon damage potential of any set. It's going to give us weapon damage, health recovery, which is kind of not really useful, but the weapon crit, and then the 5-piece, when you take damage, you have a 10% chance to gain 488 weapon damage for 5 seconds, and a small heal. 7th Legion can be procced on the back bar, and that damage will carry with us over to the front bar. So that is why we are running 7th Legion. A lot of the times people will put these sets against each other, and they will say, you know, what's better, Fury or 7th Legion? And the best answer, The best answer is to just run both. Both of them are going to be incredible damage potential. 7th Legion will proc pretty reliably on your back bar with you switching to do Igneous, to do Shuffle, to do Vigor, stuff like that. It's also going to give you a good amount of heals on your back bar. This is something that I just learned not that long ago. I always was under the assumption that Vigor would carry with me to the front bar, the stats. So for instance, if I have, as you see here, I have 2,000 weapon damage. On this side, I have 2,400. I was under the assumption that when I applied Vigor, these ticks would be for 2,000 weapon damage, and these ones would be for 2,400 weapon damage, or whatever your front bar weapon damage is. Basically that it would operate off of the front bar's stats. However, that is not true. Vigor carries the stats of the back bar with it to the front bar. It will obey crit, but it will not obey weapon damage. So that's a good thing to keep in mind, because a lot of the times we will neglect the back bar weapon damage in order to get the most max weapon damage on the front bar. So with 7th Legion proccing 488 weapon damage, this is going to make our Vigor crits and our Vigor even non-crits just hit a lot harder. The heals are going to be absolutely incredible. And then of course you also have the small heal from 7th Legion as well. We also get weapon crit on this bar, so we do get a little bit more crit. The crit's still not very good on this bar. However, crit does carry over with us, and on this bar, crit is pretty good.
Oh, damn!
40%. Oh, damn. The front bar that we are running is a Maelstrom's Maul, precise. We do not need the enchant, so we are just going to run double dot poisons. The big thing about this build is not even just the 7th Legion. There's a couple of different things that should probably be explained. Yes, it is healthy jewelry. Yes, I am running all three. Yes, there is a robust one that you could run if you wanted to. However, I went with healthy because I felt that my health with the max stam and stam regen was a little bit more comfortable for me with all healthy jewelry versus one robust. So you could put the robust on, you can play around with the different foods that you run and stuff, but for me, all three healthy and max stam and stam recovery food was absolutely perfect because it allowed my health to get to a comfortable place of 24k, and with the one robust, while I would have more max stam, I would fall down into that 23, like high 22s to 23 range, which is not a good place for me in terms of stamina DK. While you are really tanky, like you can still get bursted, so you want to be able to have the health pool to be able to actually deal with some of that damage. I personally really like 25k on a stam DK, but this is about as high as I could get without sacrificing too much stam. So that is why we ran all healthy jewelry. The back bar is decisive with a weapon damage enchant. The reason that it is decisive is to try to accommodate for the loss of werewolf hide. A big meta in terms of stam DK PvP right now is to run the werewolf hide back bar. However, after speaking with Gilliam in terms of like actual mathematics of how good is decisive in comparison to the entire werewolf hide set, it was determined that decisive is actually either equivalent or better than werewolf hide the entire 5-piece. So because you have so many different ways to gain ultimate on a stam DK on your back bar, you have just regular light attacks blocks. You have blood spawn as well. We are running heroic slash for minor heroism, which is also giving us ultimate. And then you have igneous shield, which is going to be giving us ultimate through Mountain's Blessing. So we have 4 different incoming ways to get ultimate, which makes decisive very good. Very good. And it makes it good enough that it can actually replace the entire 5-piece set, which is why we are looking at 7th Legion instead of looking at werewolf hide. So in terms of extra weapon damage potential, we're looking at 1,079 from Fury, 488 from 7th Legion. We are looking at another 348 from this. We gain another 189, I believe, over here. And then we also gain minor brutality and major brutality, and all of that basically adds up to 5,717 weapon damage. That is also with continuous. Keep that in mind. But even without continuous, you're still sitting at 5310 or something like that, 5300. So even if you don't have continuous, which most small scalers that say, let's just take a resource is a pretty common way to actually try to get PvP. So you should pretty much always have continuous. But yeah, so this is how we get so much weapon damage. The great thing about this build is it really doesn't sacrifice anything to run Seven's Legion. Yes, you have healthy jewelry, but you accommodate for the healthy jewelry with the max stam recovery food. Yes, you are in 5 heavy, but you're not really losing damage. You're actually gaining damage because you have 1,000 something here. You have another 500 here. You would think that you would be able to acquire more weapon damage in medium, but the truth is that you actually can gain way more weapon damage in heavy than you could ever possibly gain in medium with just the 12% agility passive. So that's the entire build. Let's just get into these skills, I guess. So we're running Camo Hunter. This is really just here to slot it for major savagery. I don't really like having to run it. However, without it, your crit sits at 30%, which is just a no-no. Too low. You really want those leaps to be critting and to be hitting very, very hard. So you need the Camo Hunter. Keep it on your bar. Next skill we have Rally, Dizzy Swing, Crit Rush, Executioner, Take Flight, of course. Back bar, Resolving Vigor, Shuffle, Heroic Slash, Igneous, Hardened Armor, and Spell Wall. So I guess just to get into like each of the skills a little bit. This one we kind of already explained. Rally is going to give us Major Brutality, of course, 20% weapon damage, and also a hot and a burst heal. Dizzy Swing, this is going to be our main damage and our CC. Crit Rush, going to be our gap closer. Executioner, our execute. Take Flight is going to be our ultimate that we are going to also CC people with and kind of also execute people with. Take Flight, very cheap, very good ultimate. Resolving Vigor is going to be our hot. Shuffle, Major Evasion, as well as Snare Removal. Heroic Slash, this comes out of the one-handed shields. It's going to be giving us minor heroism, and it's also going to do a little bit of damage and also snare. So this is pretty good, and it's also going to affect them with minor maim, which is also huge. You're going to be reducing their damage by 15%. You're going to be gaining ultimate. You're going to be doing a little bit of damage, and you're going to be applying your weapon damage enchant and getting that proc there. So Heroic Slash, very, very good. If you don't like it, or if you want a second CC, you could always run Reverb, but I highly recommend Heroic Slash so that you can maintain the same kind of ultimate gain that you had with the Werewolf Hide Fury build. Igneous Shield, this is going to be our major mending. And it's also going to be proccing Helping Hands, which is going to give us back stam, and also generating ultimate again. So just lots and lots of ulti-gen and lots of sustain. Hardened Armor, this is going to be our major resolve and major ward. You can potentially go the other morph. A lot of people do. Pops Nightblades out of cloak, so that's pretty good. But, I mean, I don't really see a need to, and I like the small damage shield just because you can't be crit, which is kind of cool. Spell Wall, incredibly OP ultimate. So good for 100 ultimate. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's going to be automatically blocking all your attacks, so make sure that you basically you can do anything when you have a Spell Wall up. You're not going to die, period, for 7 seconds. So keep that in mind. You can get a lot of heavy attacks off with a Spell Wall up. You can retreat with a Spell Wall up. You can go offensive with a Spell Wall up. It's got a lot of different potential in terms of what you can do while it's up. You have basically 7 seconds of immunity. And you're also going to be gaining sustain through Battle Roar, which is fantastic. And you're also going to be reflecting all projectiles and stuff like that. This is going to be one of the huge parts of why you even run Sword and Board. That plus Heroic Slash is kind of why we've ditched like the bow altogether. So that's pretty much all the skills, guys. If you wanted to switch things out, You could potentially run a dot. Either of these would work here, but again, your crit is only going to be 30%, so it's really not going to be worth. You could run Flames of Oblivion. This is also going to give you major savagery. It's going to give you a dot as well. I prefer the weapon damage from the Fighter's Guild tree. You get 3% weapon damage from having this on your bar, whereas you don't get that from having this on your bar, but you do have a small dot. Sometimes the dot can hit pretty hard. I guess it depends on who it is, but it is flame damage, and you're all physical damage, so that's just pretty much why I don't run it, but you could if you wanted to. So that's all the skills. Let's just get into the CP. We don't have any into Blessed because I already have the Draconic power here. Burning Heart's going to be giving me 12% healing received while it's active, and it should always be active, so you don't really need it, but if you feel like you want it, you can take it. Probably put about 5% in there. Master at Arms, 56. Pretty much everything we have is direct damage. Precise Strikes, 56. Piercing, 52. Trying to make up for that loss of pen a little bit. Mighty, 56. Ironclad, 61. Resistant, 25. Hardy and Ellie Defender, 56, 56. Thick Skin, 11. Make sure you always have Unchained. I say this in every stam like build video. Make sure you always have Unchained, please. It's so good. If you don't know what it is, anytime you break free, the cost of your next stamina ability is going to be 80% off, which is a great thing with sustain. Keep in mind using Shuffle, most likely, unless it doesn't need to be reapplied. Shuffle is 4,000 stam, so it's going to be probably your most expensive skill, short of using Camo Hunter, but you don't really need to use Camo Hunter. So basically be looking at your Shuffle timer anytime you get CC'd. If not Shuffle, then just Vigor or something like that. Where were we? 11 into Quick Recovery. 48 into Warlord. Basically because you're in a heavy build, and it's really not going to be worth it to be stacking too much into your stam recovery. Break free is going to be pretty expensive, so you want to put some in there. 56 into Mooncalf. 23 into Tenacity for the heavy attacks. You're going to be getting a lot of these off in terms of when you have a spell well up and stuff like that, like I said. Tumbling, 37. There are some times when you do need to roll dodge. 56 into Shadow Ward for 20% block cost reduction. You are running a Sword board, so it is going to be within your best interest to block sometimes, especially when DK has blocking passives as well. This one right here increases the amount of damage you can block by 10%. So that's pretty much the entire build. Things that you could change. You could change the Mundus if you want. I decided to go with Tower because if I didn't go with Tower, I could get more weapon damage. Technically, I could go Warrior. However, it just was not a comfortable stam pool for me to be able to have. I think it ends up at like 32k max stam, which I just did not think was going to be very viable in PvP. It's just going to be, I just felt like I was going to be running out. You could go Dubious if you wanted to. However, Dubious is going to give you a lot of health that you don't really need. You're, like I said, you're already at 26k. Oh, I think EP just took the map. You're at 24.5k. EP somehow got M, I think. Yeah, okay. You're at 24.5. You really don't need more than that, but if you feel like you do, you could go Dubious, but again, your max stam is going to suffer. It's probably going to push it down to like 34 or so. So you can play around with the different Munduses, the different food. This was just the best setup for me. I wanted to get the same max stam that I'm used to having. I wanted to get in the same range of recovery that I'm used to having, the same health, and I just wanted to be able to get the weapon damage of these sets with basically similar stats. So that's pretty much the entire build, guys. I think that it's very strong. It's definitely worth trying. 57-17 weapon damage is definitely nothing to scoff at. It's pretty much the highest that I've ever seen on a Stam DK, and you can feel it in the way that you hit people when you're extremely outnumbered. I'm going to put a couple of pictures here for just the stats that were buffed with fully buffed. We took these off of the ESO build editor, but I've seen them in combat as well. It's just kind of a pain to go and try to like find people and get fully buffed and stuff like that. But I will put those stats for you here. And if anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, contact me below, or Twitch, Twitter, that good stuff. Also just want to give a shout out to Gilliam for helping me figure out this decisive stuff in terms of decisive versus werewolf hide. Thank you to Luke and Cody for helping me test and think of different things for this build. And that's pretty much it, guys. I hope that you have a great day, and I hope that this build is really OP and you guys get great clips. All right, later.